Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Mark Reed here. Welcome back to another toy review by yours truly, which again is not necessarily a toy review, but this is, however, part four of the complete collection sort of review, I guess, for the Bakugan Reboot. So, stuff that I have as of September 2022. So, if you guys remember last time, well, we talked about Armored Alliance, we talked about Bakugear, we talked about, what do you call it? Talked about Bakugear, talked about Dragonoid Infinity, Fusion Force, all that stuff. And unfortunately, in that review, one of my figures that I've had for almost 2-3 years finally bit the dust, as my Dragonoid X Auxiliator's his tail section on the figure unfortunately broke off completely. So going forward, I can't really show that one, unless of course he just wants to fall over, because he kind of needs his tail to stand. So really a shame. And unfortunately, I did contact Spin Master support, as you do. Unfortunately, I was unable to get a replacement or whatever the case may be, because it's, well, obviously seriously out of warranty, because I got the figure back in September 2020, so that sucks. But hey, at least he was fun while he lasted. So who knows? Maybe I might be able to get him on the aftermarket at some point. Who knows? Anyways, moving on to, of course, Geogon Rising. And unfortunately, there is no fun backdrop for this one because I don't have a background that would really be appropriate for Geogon Rising. Like, sure, I could have just pulled out my Battle Planet Arena again, or, of course, my little playmat I got in my, Armored Alliance Walmart exclusive gift set, holiday gift set release. I forget what that proper name was. But I don't think either of those are appropriate for this, so we're just going to use the standard backdrop. So, zooming in the camera, let's get started. And of course, first and foremost, we're going to start off with, and again, he's kind of here by technicality reasons, Pyrus Platinum Dragonoid. Now again, I do realize this figure first came out in Evolutions. I understand that. But again, this mold first appeared in Geogon Rising, so I'm including him here. Obviously, really good figure. Not really much else to say for this one. I do love the metal on him. Of course, he does have the Armored Alliance, Peg-on armor ports. In this case, 2 on his wings and 1 on his back, behind his neck. But hey, I'm glad to have this figure for Platinum Series. So, and of course, to finally have a Pyrus Armored Alliance Core Dragonoid figure, because again, I could never find a Pyrus Core version in any of my stores. So that's a bit of a bummer. But again, at least I have him here for the Platinum Series version. So, there you go. And sometimes he doesn't like to stay closed. There we go. And now keeping up with the Dragonoid theme so far, and of course, with Metal Bakugan, we have the first ever Metal Bakugan released for the Reboot. That's right, Geoforge Dragonoid. That, of course, is exclusive to the gift set. Of course, we'll be talking more about Geoforge Dragonoid here in a bit. But all in all, really, really cool figure. Of course, being the first Metal Bakugan, for the Reboot, I'm super, super happy with him, as everything that's silver on his body is indeed die-cast metal, so this guy is super heavy. He does have the Armored Alliance Peg-on armor ports, specifically on the wings up here. The other ports that look like armor ports, that actually goes into his special gimmick, that again we're going to talk about more later on. Now, of course, if you did see my full review of the Geoforge Dragonoid gift set, then you know exactly what goes in those ports. So, there you go. And also, excuse me, this actually is a Armored Alliance Peg-on armor port, my bad. So, but these ones down here, and then this unfortunate one back here, yeah, those are not armor ports. Again, that goes into this figure's special gimmick. of which we're going to talk about later on. So moving on, I'm bringing the card back out here. We have... Jesus. Pyrus Ferrasco. Really nice figure here. Obviously, clearly inspired by Cubbo and his sort of, cuteness in his design. We have the same sort of motif here with Ferrasco, in this case being more of a giant house cat, basically. Now, she does have several different armor ports for the Armor Alliance Peg-on armor. 2 on each side of the body, and 1 on the head. And also, you could use that port to put on one of the Cubbo cosplay version's hats on there. It can fit. So you could put one of the hats on her, which is pretty cool. So there you have that. Moving along here, we're now moving into the Ultras, because again, this is a relatively smaller collection. So, here he is. Papyrus Ultra Falcron. I love this figure. I'm just going to come out and say it. I love this figure. And because this figure, when the moment he was revealed, I immediately got a wave of nostalgia because, again, for those who remember Legacy Series, this figure, to me, is a clear reference to the Legacy Series character Falconeer, which was also a bipedal falcon type creature, but really cool looking. Of course, love his details here with his very much avian design and his the arms there, which I wish they would come a little bit more forward, but what you gotta do. He does have some Armor Alliance Peg-on armor ports, specifically on the tops of the wings here and right on the back. But all in all, again, solid looking figure. And also he does look like he's staring at the floor the whole time, which is a bit dumb looking for him. But other than that, still a solid figure. I like him a lot. And getting him closed up could be a bit of a pain, but there you go. And now moving on to my final Ultra Pyrus figure for this collection, we have a pretty special one. In this case, this is my Pyrus Elemental Rare Ultra Dragonoid. Now again, this is one of the new sort of special treatment Bakugan, if you will, introduced with Geogon Rising, and that is the Elemental Rares. So, Elemental Rares use a special printing technology, I can't remember what it's called right now, to print special graphics on the ball form. So, as you can see on the wings, you kind of have these awesome flame details, if we get a close-up of those. Check that out, looking like he's burning up. Looks fantastic. And again, I don't know what printing technology they did with this, because I can't recall at the moment, but wow, does this look good. Of course, on the tail, you have more of that special printing. And of course, he is casted / molded in this awesome like this dark translucent red plastic, which kind of reminds me of Rubinoid, another character from Legacy Series. So that is really cool. My only problem with them is that early on, when we first got product shots of this Ultra, the normal version, and of course Elemental Rare, I thought the arms could move. No, they're completely static. That, and he only has a couple Armor Alliance Peg-on armor ports, 1 on the back of the head, and 2 on the legs. That's all you get. Nothing else. Nothing much else than that. Kind of a shame. But hey, it could be worse. So now moving on to the Chaos faction, which unfortunately I only have 2 figures for Chaos. Yeah, I know, embarrassing. We start off with my Chaos Core Pinsator. I know that's kind of a mouthful of a name, but bear with me. So I know plenty of you are looking at, that some eagle-eyed viewers might notice that this guy looks a lot like Scorpios, and you might be wondering to yourself, is this guy related to Scorpios? To my knowledge, no. But yeah, this guy's basically kind of like Scorpios, not really. Because, I mean, he is obviously a scorpion, but obviously his design is much, much different than Scorpios, right? With the sort of sunken in head, his multi-pronged claws, his very squishy stinger. And you do have multiple little legs here to keep him stable. And he does have multiple Pagon Armor Alliance, right? Armor Alliance Pagon Armor Ports, sorry. 2 on the legs and 1 on the tail. So, that is pretty cool. And again, this figure did see an Ultra release. And let's get a close up of that face, too. So you guys kind of see his weird face. There we go. This guy did see an Ultra release, but unfortunately, once again, I was unable to get it, which sucks. But anyway, moving on to my final figure from my Chaos faction for this collection, we have Chaos Ferrasco. Fennica, you idiots, sorry. Small brain moment. Fennica. And Fennica here looks great. Obviously, Fennica is a Fennec Fox. And I think she looks great. Of course, she is definitely one-upped by the later figure we got in Evolutions, Blitz Fox. We'll talk more about her once we get to the Evolutions collection, which is embarrassingly small as well. But still, really cool figure. This figure did also see an elemental rare release, but I was, again, unable to find it. But at least I have the normal version. And she does have, as you can see, 3 Armor Alliance Pagon armor ports. 2 on the back of the tail pieces here, because no, these are not wings, these are just extensions of the tail. And then you have 1 on the midsection. So that is great. And again, it's really cool to see a Fennec Fox Bakugan, just very, very strange. But also very cool, because we never had one of those before. So, do like that. Again, wish I'd found her elemental rare version, but unfortunately, again, I was just unable to find it. Next up, we have probably one of the weirder Ultras, and this is, again, my only representative for Ventus, which I know, very embarrassing. Jesus. Here we have Ventus Ultra Ferrasco. Yeah, even I gotta admit, this looks absolutely ridiculous. Like, you got the giant head, the tiny arms, the rather, actually, kind of smallish legs, the long, thick tail, and then, of course, the big, bulbous head with those big old ears and those big old cat eyes. So, I kind of get what they were going for with this Ultra, but again, it just looks weird. Of course, you do have Pagon armor ports for the Armor Alliance armor. Right on the back of the tail. That's all you get, which sucks. But hey, what are you gonna do? Oh, and she does have Pagon armor ports on the side of her head. Almost forgot. And that in her head's just an empty pistachio shell. Like, oh, jeez. I should have gone back to the drawing board on this one, if I'm gonna be honest. But hey, it still is. I still love it because it's just a really weird, wacky looking design. That definitely stands out from the other Ultras, that's for sure. But, of course, if it's a good or bad figure, that's ultimately up to you to decide. So, on your own. Of course, gotta turn my lamp on here, so it's kind of getting dark here. I literally just started recording this not too long after I just finished up the last episode. But anyway, so moving on to Orlus, and unfortunately, once again, 2 representatives, which is kind of embarrassing again. We have Orlus Dragonoid. And again, literally the exact same thoughts on this figure as I did my Platinum Series version. Really cool figure, nice new upgrade for Dragonoid here. And yeah, do you like the Pagon armor ports again? They're literally the exact same as the other figure. 2 on the wings, 1 on the back. And behind the head, so I think he works really well. And I do like the fact that his midsection kind of slides up. Like, so you can kind of see he kind of slides his midsection up when he transforms. Super, super cool that he does that. Because again, just, adds to the whole, dynamic look of this figure. And now for my second and last Orlus representative for Geogon Rising here for this collection. We have, of course, Orlus Vilock. Now, Vilock is, of course, the main villain for Geogon Rising, or antagonistic force in Geogon Rising. And what's interesting is that this character has different genders for the different versions of the show and the toy line. Here in the US, Vilock is male. In Japan, Vilock is female. Which, for the Japanese audience, that makes this the first ever Bakugan villain to be female. Or at least for the actual Bakugan creatures themselves to be, a female antagonist. So that's really cool for the Japanese audience, again, not for the US audience. But this figure does have, once again, some special features going on with him that we'll talk more about later on. But just to kind of show his Peg-on armor ports, we have one on the back section there and two on the sides. And of course there is one giant peg hole here at the bottom, which again we'll talk more about that later on. But of course, for those who have seen my Ultimate Vilock gift set review, then you know why he has that. But for those who are unaware, boy are you in for a treat. Anyway, moving along to Darkest Faction, we have, first and foremost, Jesus, relax. Here we have my Ultra Darkest Nilius that is so excited to pop open. He took the whole card with him. My God. But here he is, and I love this version of Nilius. This is super, super cool. I love the fact that he's a hexapod now. Just looks really neat. And again, the three heads, which are all in different positions, are super cool. Each one has different eye colors. So you have orange for this head, and then the middle-ish head. And then for the other head here, we have it in green. So that's the right heads and then the right-left one. Really cool. Of course, for the wings, we do have the Peg-on armor ports again, and one on the midsection here. But all in all, really, really good design. And again, probably my favorite version of Nilius in this reboot. Of course, that is until his Evolutions release came out. And now I'm kind of on the fence. But of course, we're going to talk more about that later on. So, moving this along here. Move that there. Okay. And again, getting this guy closed up can be a little bit annoying, especially with having to hold down all three heads while you're closing him. But again, once he closes, he stays closed. Next up, we have yet another Ultra. In this case, Ultra Dmorc. And Dmorc is clearly a new character introduced in Geogon Rising, and I think he's really cool. I do like this design. Reminds me a lot of Devilman, if you guys know that anime. Don't ask how I know why that exists. So, but anyways, so he does look a lot like that kind of sort of, with the very much demonic horns, the large claws, and of course the bat-like wings. Super, super cool design, I think. My only problem is that his head is a bit too floppy, but then again, I understand why it's floppy and not on a spring-loaded mechanism. That, and this figure did also see an elemental rare version, and, as you're about to see, I was able to find it. And I think it looks way better than the original. Way, way better. And here he is. Here is the elemental rare version. And you know what? Just for fun, let's compare both of them to each other so that we can kind of see the elemental rare next to original Dmorc. As you can see, these two look pretty darn good. I really do like the designs of these figures. Now, of course, both of them do share a Peg-on armor ports for the Armored Alliance Peg-on armor. One on the tail and one on each arm. So for a total of 3 different ports. And as you can see with the elemental rare version, we also do have the special print, kind of making him look like he has darkest energy flowing through him. looks really, really good. And again, super happy to have that elemental rare, because he was my second ever elemental rare that I found. And again, he was released as a single pack release, which again made him a lot harder to find, but thankfully I was able to get him. So that is really cool. And again, closing either of them up can be a bit of a project, but once you get them all together, both stay very nicely. So there you go. Now moving on from the Bakugan themselves, we now have the newly introduced Geogon for this season, and this is where the bulk of my collection is. So we're going to get started with the first Geogon, which of course looks like this. Here we have my Pyrus Geogon Arclion. And again, super, super neat design. Again, I realize that this guy is a Platinum Series release. This isn't his original version. But again, I was unable to get his original version when he first came out. But with the Platinum Series version here, he still looks really, really good. Obviously, he is supposed to be, right, a Manticore here. And just, again, super cool design. And again, for those who don't really know what the Geogon are about, the Geogon are essentially ancient Bakugan creatures that came before the Bakugan that we know today. So that's why they're different shapes instead of, right, spheres. So they are really cool. And I'm super happy to have them. Of course, we do have the Pegon armor ports here. We have one on each leg and one on his tail. So that is very cool. And again, this is one that have to be one of my favorite Geogon to get released. And now moving on to his evolution, because yes, he did get an evolution. Not in the show, but in the toy line he did. For the Geoforge Dragonoid gift set, we got this guy. This is Geoforge Arclion. And I think he looks... he looks good, but... I don't know. With this design, I kind of have mixed feelings, because, right, you look at the original Arclion compared to Geoforge Arclion, and it's like, what happened here? But then again, this figure does have some special features to him that we'll talk about later on. But it's because of his special feature that unfortunately the design kind of suffers because of it. But I still like him. Of course, he does have the Pegon armor ports on the wings, one on each wing tip. But other than that, that's all you're really going to get from this figure. Outside of course, his special feature, which we'll talk about later on. And again, getting this guy closed up can, again, be kind of annoying with all his different little parts, but once you get him closed up, again, he stays super nicely. Next up, we have yet another figure that's, again, here by technicality reasons. We have my Papyrus Talon. Now, yes, I realize that this is from the Battle Ant pack that we got with Evolutions, but he first appears in Geogon Rising, so... there you go. And of course here, Talon, and of course Talon, for me, was my first ever Geogon. Not this particular version, but his native faction version was my first ever Geogon. And oh man, this guy is awesome. Really cool design with him. Really do like the fact that again he's just so tall and there's again super nice detail. He does have 3 Pegon armor ports, 1 on the back of the tail here, and 2 on the wings. You can kind of see. So, there you go. And he also does get an evolution in the toy line. And, again, I really do like it, although it does have its shortcomings. For, again, it has a very special feature to it, which, again, for those who watched my Geoforge Dragonoid collection review, or a Geoforge Dragonoid gift set, review, then you will know what that special feature is. Moving on to the next Geogon, and this is, of course, for the Aquos faction, we have Aquos Viperagon, or Viperagon. Either way, I feel you're pronouncing it the right way, but in the show they pronounce it as Viperagon, so that's what we're going with. And Viperagon looks pretty awesome. Really do like the design where, of course, you have like the dragon center, and then you have like a snake-like tail coming around. And again, was one of the early Geogon designs we got revealed for Geogon Rising, and I think he's great. He does have a couple Pegon armor ports, one on each wing and one on his back, and that's all you get. But all in all, really cool design. Again, this is not his native faction, or her native faction, sorry. She is natively Ventus, but of course I was able to find that one, and we'll look at that one a little bit later. So moving on, once again we have yet another Bakugan, or Geogon, sorry. From the Geoforge Dragonoid gift set, we have Aquos Geoforge Talon. Why did I say Talon? Geoforge Stinger, my bad. So here we have him, Geoforge Stinger, not Talon. I was looking at my Geoforge Talon here in the background, and actually I called him Geoforge Talon. But Stinger here looks really cool. Of course, he is still, right, again, an evolution exclusive to the toy line, and I have mixed feelings about this, especially when later we look at his normal version. Which unfortunately I wasn't able to get in the normal size. I got him in the Deca size, but of course we'll talk about that more later on. So in this series, so here we have him, and again, does have the Pegon armor ports, one on each wing, and one on the tail. And that's all you get. Oh, actually no, there is one on the back here. Now on the bottom of the figure we do have this peg hole right here, which again we'll talk more about later on why that is there and what its point is, well, purpose is. But of course I'll leave those who haven't watched my Geoforge Dragonoid gift set review to speculate on what it's for. But anyway, next up we have my final Aquos Geogon for this collection, and that is, of course, my Platinum Series Stardox. Now again, I realize this figure is the Evolutions version, the Platinum Series version, but again, the character first showed up here, so that's why I included him in this collection. And as you can see, he is, well, clearly a starfish in design, but he's really cool. Do like his 3 different Pegon armor ports right on the back legs there. And in general, I like this version a lot more than the original because, again, he has that awesome die-cast metal on the bottom, which is, again, really, really nice. So you can see right there, all of that. That is die-cast metal. So this guy is pretty heavy. But still, really cool figure. And I do like the printing on him, especially when we look at his closed form. You can see here all this beautiful molded detail on there. Really, really nice. Moving on to the next Geogon. Again, we're moving into the Chaos faction of Geogon. We first up have, if I can actually get her out of there, there we go, my Chaos Geogon Arachnia. And I think this figure looks great. I like it. Obviously, it is supposed to be a spider type character. And I do like the sort of, spider motif you got here with the 6 legs, which is not accurate because, again, spiders have 8, obviously. But still, really cool looking figure. Of course, she only has one Pegon armor port, which is on the back of her head there, behind the head. And that's all you get. But still, nice figure for what she is. Now, of course, later on in the toy line, she did get an evolution. Again, exclusive to the toy line, because again, this character never appears in the show. but in the toy line it appears, obviously. This is Geoforge Arachnia. Chaos again. And really, really nice looking figure. Obviously, they took some... I think they did really well with this Geoforge evolution. Again, really sucks that we never see this character in the show. But still, really cool figure. Now, she does have a peg-on armor port for the Armor Alliance armor up here on the head. But, of course, you may also notice that she has a couple pegs on, right, that's the near the joint of her midsection here, and some right behind the big spider head. Again, those are not peg-on armor ports. Those are special ports for, again, this character's special feature. Which, again, for those who watched the Geoforge Dragonoid review, gift set review, then you'll know exactly what those pegs are for. But again, for those who are unaware, well, keep speculating. That, and you may also notice she also has these little, what do you call these little connectors on the top and bottom sections of the figure. Again, I'll leave those who didn't watch that review, the Geoforge Dragonoid review, to speculate on what exactly those pegs are for and what the peg holes are for. Anyway, moving on, we have, bam, Ventus Talon here. So, again, this is not my first Geogon. Now, its diamond version that I also have was my first Geogon. And, well, is my first Geogon. And really, really cool looking figure, again. Same peg-on armor ports, exactly where the Pyrus one was. But still, I dig this design a lot. And as a matter of fact, I love it so much that I even got the Deca version of the figure that was released later. Or at least in that same season. That I was lucky enough to find. So, again, stay tuned for the later episodes of this mini-series to see those Decas, because I will not be showing them in this video. Next up, we have Diamond Talon. And this, again, is my first ever Geogon I ever got for Geogon Rising. And I love this figure. I love it a lot. And again, I have a very special, right, sort of connection to this figure. Because at the time when I first reviewed this figure, I had no idea it was even diamond. Because at the time, I didn't know that Geogon could be diamond. And yeah, they can be diamond rarity. So that is awesome. And he is my only diamond Geogon I have, as I was never able to get some of the later diamonds that came out for the Geogon figures, which sucks. But hey, at least I got one of them, didn't I? Next up, we have Talon's Evolution, again exclusive to the toy line again. Just gotta fold out the, let's see if I can get the manual parts out here. Oh, yep, there we go. Fold these forward, and bam. Here we have Geoforge Talon. Now this time this is Geoforge Talon. And again, I really like this figure. Again, this figure does have a very special feature to it, which of course we'll talk about more later on, but really cool figure on its own. Of course, you have the wings there, and of course the head, which is just a just a redesigned version of the classic Talon head design. And then, of course, we have the tail, which oddly looks almost like a foot. Wonder why that is. Anyway, Geoforge Talon does feature peg-on armor ports again, one on each wing, and that's all you get. And overall, again, solid figure for what he is. And it's interesting that they took that for the design of the figure, they decided instead of making him, have more height, he has more length. He kind of goes outwards instead of upwards. Neat. Next up is my Ventus Viperagon I mentioned briefly before. Again, same thoughts as on the original Viperagon. My second Viperagon, because my Aquos Viperagon was my second Viperagon figure. This was my first one. And this figure, I believe, did see a diamond version. That, or he got a chase rare version, I believe is what they call it, where basically it was like Pyrus and it had special printing on it. I was unable to find that one, unfortunately. As that was, again, another new rarity they introduced with Geogon Rising that was called Chase Rarity, and essentially it was like 1 and something copies of a figure would be released, and it would have like a special printing or whatnot. Actually, I think that was introduced back in Armored Alliance and then continued here from Geogon Rising. Yeah, yeah, so I got that completely wrong. My bad. Again, same payout armor ports as on the Aquos version, so don't need to go over that here. So moving swiftly on, we're now moving into the Orlus faction of Geogon, and boy do we got plenty of those to look at. First and foremost, we're going to take a look at Geoforge Titan King. Now, this is the evolution of Titan King in the toy line, and unfortunately, as of this recording, I don't have the normal Titan King yet, which sucks. But hey, at least I have the Geoforge version. And I had mixed feelings about this version, because although it does look pretty impressive, I don't like the fact that he's staring at the floor the entire time. That looks really dumb. Does have, of course, 2 Pagon armor ports, here and here. You might also notice he also has a connector on this arm. Again, I'll leave those who didn't watch my Geoforge Dragonoid review to speculate on why that's there. So, and there also is another Armored Alliance Pagon armor port I just now noticed. It's on his back, but it's hiding behind a special bit of plating there, which again we'll talk more about later on. And that goes for pretty much all of the Geoforge Dragonoid gift set exclusive figures, is that they do have more Pagon armor ports. It's just, again, later on you'll see why I'm not bringing them up right now, because again that will kind of spoil the special gimmick for the Geoforge Dragonoid set characters and for that release. Well, figures, I mean. Now moving on to the Ultimate Vilock Geogon, which, fun fact, for the Ultimate Vilock set, you could get Vilock and his Geogon all on their own in different sets. And for the Geoforge Dragonoid stuff, that is exclusive to the Geoforge Dragonoid set, which, again, both sets retail for about $40 at the time of release. So, there is that. No, excuse me. Moving on, we're going to start off with the first one for the Ultimate Vilock's team, which is, of course, Oralis Ant Frog. Now, in the show, he is Pyrus in the show. Though here for the for the Ultimate Vilock set, he is, right, Orlus. And this is the only way to get Oralis Ant Frog as well. He is exclusive to this set, to the Ultimate Vilock gift set, for $40. So that is pretty cool. Again, he does have a little connector here. Again, I'll leave those who didn't watch my Ultimate Vilock review, gift set review, to speculate on why that's there. Of course, you have the Pagon armor port there, and on the head. And I believe that's all you get. And also, am I the only one that, although now that before I said that he was a frog, that you thought he was some kind of beetle because of his midsection? I don't blame you, because his midsection does look a bit bug-like. Just a very weird design there. So, because I was just as confused as you guys probably were for a second until I said he was a frog, and then of course, I'm sure a few of you were like, oh, I see it now. But anyway, so there's that. Moving on, next up we have probably one of the weirdest Geogon ever to be released for Geogon Rising. And of course he jumps out at you, jump scare. Here we have Orlus Bobadrill. Again, in the show he is Aquos, but again for the set he is Orlus. And again, you could only get this character in the Orlus faction through the Ultimate Vilock gift set. Really cool Geogon, though. He's kind of a mandrill dragon looking thing. Again, he is super, super alien looking. He's kind of like Klopdor, where, you know, he's just very alien. He's not one thing. He's kind of a chimera of all kinds of different things. But you do have a couple Pagon armor ports for this figure, which of course those are on the upper parts of the arms. Now you might notice the other ports on him. You might be wondering, well, what about those? Again, that goes into this character's very special gimmick that again we'll talk more about later on. And there is another port on the other side of his head. But again, we'll talk more about those peg holes later because those are very special as they go with his gimmick. His very special gimmick. And also on his back legs, he does have a connector little peg right here. Which, again, I will leave you guys who haven't watched my Ultimate Vilock review, gift set review, sorry, to speculate as to what that's for. Moving on. Next up, we have probably the biggest Geogon ever to be released, I feel. Or at least the second biggest. Yep, this is Insectra. Of course, very much a Dragonfly-esque design. And again, the Orlus version is exclusive to the Ultimate Vilock gift set. So there is that. I really do like this figure. He is just stupidly big. I know he looks bigger on camera, but trust me, in person, he is a fairly big Geogon. And again, he does have Pagon armor ports for the Armor Alliance weapons on the wings. That's all you get. And he does have a little connector on his back, if you notice. Again, I will leave you guys to speculate as to why that's there. Is that a connector port on the bottom of his head? No. Okay. So, there is that. Moving on to the next Geogon, we have Orlus Ghost Beast. Now, Ghost Beast here, again, first appears in the show in the Darkest Faction, but again, here in the toy line, he is represented in Orlus. Of course, you could get him in other factions, and that goes for any of the Ultimate Vilock set figures. You can get them in different factions, obviously, because I literally just mentioned you can buy them individually. You don't have to buy the gift set for them. But again, here, the Orlus version is exclusive to the Ultimate Vilock gift set once again. And again, we do have 3 different Pagon armor ports, 1 on the back and 2 on these little side pieces here. Again, really cool design for him. Although, of course, it is very simplistic as well. So that is a bit of a shame. But hey, in the show, he looks really good. And also that name is awesome. Ghost Beast. Really cool. For what's basically a Geogon bull/bison design. Works super well. I like it. Next up, we have a bugoid design here, or insectoid design, if you will. Now, I know the Ant Frog did look a bit insectoid in his design, but here in the set, well, lucky for those who are unaware of the Ultimate Vilock gift set, and for the Geogon included, there actually is an insect in here, besides, of course, Insectra. We have, right here, Orlus Swarmer. Now, Swarmer is obviously a stag beetle, and I dig his design a lot. Of course, you have the Pagon armor ports for him as well. 1 on the back, 2 on the wings. That's all you get. And again, he does have some rather, conspicuous little pieces on him that, again, tie into the special gimmick with this figure and the other figures in the gift set. And again, this version is exclusive to the Ultimate Vilock gift set. And again, we'll talk more about the special feature of this figure and the other figures for the Ultimate Vilock set later on. So, but trust me, it's worth the wait. And last, but certainly not least, for the Ultimate Vilock Geogon here, and for my Geogon overall, here we have Orlus Skyhorse. Again, the Orlus version being exclusive to the Ultimate Vilock gift set. And he is really cool. Or she is really cool, because, right, it's female here. And obviously Skyhorse is literally just a seahorse with dragon wings, but come on. Even though the design is very simple, I like it a lot. What can I say? Again, my only problem is that her face is obscured by the tail, which is a similar problem to a figure of a similar design, that of course being Geoforge Stinger for the Geoforge Dragonoid team. And yeah, really cool figure. Again, has a connector port on the back. Again, I'll leave you guys to speculate as to what that's for. But all in all, solid figure. So, there you have that. Now moving on to the darkest faction. We start off with a pretty cool Geogon here, again. And fun fact, this Geogon in the show is the first Geogon to appear on Earth. So that is pretty awesome. In this case, we have Darkus Mutasect. And Mutasect also happened to be one of the first Geogon figure designs that was revealed to us by Spin Master, so that is pretty awesome. Obviously, he is a very alien design, being, again, a sort of Dragonfly-esque design with his arms and his, the wings on the back, which don't really look like wings, but trust me, they are supposed to be wings. And you have his his multi-pronged stinger-like tail. And, of course, you might notice that he has a third leg in the back, which, yeah, right there. A little purple thing. And yes, most people do kind of forget that it's there, but yes, he does have a third leg, so that way he can stand on or off the card, so that is pretty cool. And he does have some Pegon armor ports, or Pegon weapon ports, for the, Armor Alliance weapons and armor. 2 on the arms, and one on each arm, and 1 on the back of the head. So that's pretty cool. Again, this Geogon's native faction in the show is Chaos, but unfortunately, I never found the Chaos version. Shame. Next up, we have the first biggest Geogon in the Geogon Rising Geogon collection here. And that, of course, being Mantra Pod. Yes, Darkus Mantra Pod. Now, this figure did see a diamond release, but of course never found it, unfortunately. But Mantra Pod is super, super cool, being, of course, a Geogon centipede. And well, he definitely looks like one, that's for sure. And, oh man, really do like this one. With the bugoid, insectoid head here, and of course the multiple sets of legs, and the little spiky tail there. Again, no idea what's up with Geogon Rising and its appeal to insectoid-like monsters for this one. For these new additions to the Bakugan toy line, but hey, I still love them all the same. And again, he does have a couple Pegon armor ports. 1 on the midsection of the tail there, and I think that's actually it. Unless he has 1 on the front. Oh, yes, he does. He does have 2 on the front, and then 1 on the midsection there. Again, kind of hard to see, because again, purple plastic, dark purple plastic on black doesn't really work out all that well. But again, really, really cool design. Now moving on to his evolution, that again is exclusive to the toy line, as it never appears in the show. We have Geoforge Mantra Pod. And yes, I know what you're thinking. What the heck is this? Yeah, I have no idea either. Like, they took a design that was great, and they made it into this. Like, what is this supposed to be? Well, obviously, again, the evolution of Mantra Pod. So again, he's still a centipede, obviously, or Geogon centipede. But the only thing that looks like Mantra Pod is the head. Everything else just looks like Fangzor or something. He has no legs at all, from what I can tell. And he does have 3 peg-on armor ports. 2 on the side here and 1 on the back. But it's like, man, what else does this guy do? Well, if you notice a little connector piece here, then you know that yes, there is something special going on with this figure, which again we'll talk about more later on. But yeah, they really could have done better for Mantra Pod's evolution here. But again, I understand why they took such a drastic design change. That again we'll talk about more later. And now for the last Geogon for this collection, we have Hynix. Darkest Hynix. Again, this is this character's native faction, which is great. And I love this design as well. Being, of course, a Geogon hyena. Hence his name. Really cool design. Obviously, he has a very big, imposing size to him. Which is fitting because he is absolutely colossal in the show. So that is awesome. Of course, he does have some peg-on armor ports, 1 on the tail and 1 on each arm. And that's all you get. But all in all, solid Geogon. Was released in other factions, but then again, the only one I needed was the Darkest Faction version, because of course this is how he appears in the show, so that is awesome. For that. Now, moving on to the capstones. You might be wondering to yourself, wait, where are the capstones? Because unlike Dragonoid Infinity and Dragonoid Maximus, right, prior, there were just giant Dragonoid figures. So where are the capstones? Well, let me show you. So the first one is made up of these guys. Because if you haven't gotten the idea already, these figures that I'm bringing out combine. And they do it in a really cool way as well. And all of these ones I'm bringing out here are exclusive, again, to the Geoforge Dragonoid gift set. So, Geoforge Dragonoid, Geoforge Stinger, Geoforge Arachnia, Geoforge Arclion, Geoforge Mantra Pod, Geoforge Titan King, and Geoforge Talon are all exclusive to the set. And now to show you how they combine. Because that's the main gimmick here for the capstones, is combination gimmicks. So, moving all of these out of the way, and of course I had to move the camera back because let me tell you, things are going to get kind of epic. We're going to start off with Geoforge Dragonoid. So for him, you just want to pop him open because automatically he flips up the Combiner mode head. So looks a little something like this. Looks like a big old Dragonoid head. Flip the horn out and put him off to the side. Of course, I gotta get better lighting here because the lighting is starting to get really, really bad. That's better. So next up here, we'll move on to Geoforge Arachnia. Which the only thing you need to do for her is fold up the top and bottom connector pegs. And then for Dragonoid himself, you just take his unfortunately placed connector, port, and then just plug the connector in like that. And there you have the upper body and the lower body sections for Geoforge Dragonoid. Now to move on to his tail section. Pretty obvious it was going to be Stinger, isn't it? You just take him, fold down the tail, and flip down the wings until they snap into place. And then you take the tail and plug it onto the back using the special port on the back. And there you go. Place that off in the back there. And now let's move on to the legs, which of course are going to consist of Mantra Pod and, Talon. We're going to start off with Mantra Pod. So with Mantra Pod, you take the leg piece here, fold it back, take the piece that looks like a foot, which it clearly is, flip it out, and the heel will automatically flip out as well. Take the head, shove it in there, take the leg, shove it into there. Well, not shove it, but you know what I mean. Stick it in there, straighten it out, and then fold out the connector port. And then peg it on to the figure's right side. Or left side, sorry. There you go. Kind of lay him down there. Now for Talon. What you're going to do for him is flip the foot out on the back. And then you want to flip in the wing. But of course you want to take this wing over here and kind of fold it out a little bit. Just so that it matches with the other side. Fold the head in. Flip this section in. And then peg it in to the right side. And there you have the base of Geoforge Dragonoid. Now for the arms. Putting him to the back. The arms are, of course, going to consist of Arclion and Titan King. So for Arclion, you want to take him, fold his wing out, fold it all the way out as far as you can, flip this section back, flip in the head, fold in the arm, and then fold that there like that. Flip out this combiner mode peg, open up the top wing there, exposing a new Armor Alliance peg-on armor port up there. And then from here you fold out the arm, which again also has a peg-on armor port. Really nice to have. And you take this one and you take this figure, take the peg, take the hole on the side of the leg, and peg him in. And then for Titan King, it's very, very similar. Flip the body down, fold in the head, flip in that arm, the left arm. Fold that out. Fold out the arm. Make sure to fold out the thumb. Fold out the little wing piece. And then you just smack that onto the other side. And there you have Geoforge Dragonoid all formed up. And this figure's awesome. I love this capstone. Taking something that was, again, first introduced in Legacy Series with Maxis Helios and Maxis Dragonoid, respectively, and modernizing them in a really cool way. And again, it's so awesome that all of these different figures, despite the fact they're all different figures that are all separate on their own, can combine to form a really cool-looking figure. And again, unlike the other two figures, you can actually store this one super, super nicely. As you don't have to worry about it, having to store that whole thing, because you can just break them all apart, and then there you go. You have them stored. So moving Geoforce Dragonoid off to the side, let's do Ultimate Vilock as well. So Ultimate Vilock consists of the following members. Vilock himself, obviously. Ant Frog. Babadrill. Insectra. Ghost Beast. If I can actually get them out here. Come on. Insectra. Ghost Beast. Skyhorse. And last but certainly not least, Swarmer. And all these figures are going to combine into something truly crazy looking. So moving all of these guys off to the side, we're going to begin forming the body of the figure. So we're going to start off with these two, Vilock and, of course, Babadrill. So for Vilock, you just pop them open, put them over there. And then for Babadrill here, fold up this combiner peg, spin them all the way around, and then you just stick them in there. Like that. And there you have the upper body and the main, connector hub for Ultimate Vilock. If it wasn't obvious, this guy is definitely not going to be a bipedal combiner. That's for sure. Next up, we have the tail, which is going to consist of Insectra. So for Insectra, you want to take the arms, fold them forward, fold the head in. Take the tail, push it back, and then flip out the connector. And then on the back, on the underside of Babadrill's head, you just stick him in there like that. And there you have the tail section for Ultimate Vilock. Now moving on to the legs, which are going to consist of Ant Frog, Swarmer, Ghost Beast, and Skyhorse. So we're going to start off with Ant Frog. take Ant Frog, and you flip out the obvious foot out, flipping the leg back as well. Then you want to fold up all of the remaining limbs, peg them in like that. Make sure the foot's sticking out like so. And then fold out the connector port. And then you want to connect him to this connector here on the figure. And there you have the first leg of Ultimate Vilock. Now moving on to his other front leg, which is going to consist of Skyhorse. Fold the head in, fold the wings in. Make sure the head stays in, of course, because sometimes it does like to pop out. Fold out the foot, and flip out the combiner port, and stick it in on this side. Sometimes the connector doesn't want to go in, but there you go. So now you have a body, a tail, and 2 legs. Now I gotta get the other 2 legs, which are going to consist of Swarmer, and Ghost Beast. Starting off with Swarmer. We want to take the back section, fold it all the way out, take the foot and fold it all the way out. And then just fold him up like you would if you were going to close him up into his normal shape form. And then, of course, on the back, flip out the hidden combiner port. And you want to connect him onto this back connector right there. And now he's almost complete. Now you just need the last figure, Ghost Beast. Now for Ghost Beast, there are 2 different ways you can form the final leg. You can fold out the connector. That's first and foremost. But for this part is where you can do one of 2 things. You can leave the head out, fold out the foot, close up the wings structures there, and leave him like that. Or you could have him like the instructions have him, and pull out the connector port, fold out the foot, but fold in the head, and of course make sure the legs are folded in, and then fold this up like that. Either way is correct. For me, I do it per the instructions, and he works just fine. Of course, there's one last connector port on the back that you connect him into. And here you have Ultimate Vilock. And oh my god, this thing is a beast. Compared to our normal Bakugan, as you can kind of tell, he is absolutely colossal. Of course, he is the final boss, if you will, of the Geogon Rising season. But still, super, super cool figure, and awesome that they brought back this combiner. That they brought back combination gimmicks. And again, this figure is clearly a reference to Maxis Helios from the Legacy series, which also happened to be a quadruped combiner. So, that is really cool. And now to show off both combiners, which is going to be kind of hard to show because, again, there's just a lot going on here. Move the turntable off to the side and bring out both of these big boys. Vilock and Dragonoid. Both of these combiners are absolutely incredible. I love both of them. I couldn't just get one. I had to get both. So combined, both sets total up to about $80 retail for both sets. And they both came out fall of last year. And I love these figures. I love them a lot. I love the Geogon Rising season, period. But, of course, this is not the final season of Bakugan Reboot. Far from it. As next time, we're going to be taking a look at the current season of Bakugan. And that is, of course, Bakugan Evolutions. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell so that way you guys get notified for all my uploads. And, of course, I will see you guys again in part 5 of this mini-series. See you guys then.